Let's go to work. As barbers, we cut hair and fade all day. This podcast goes beyond the barber's chair and is about the rest of our story, positioning ourselves for success, avoiding costly mistakes, and continuing to grow and thrive as barbers for years to come. Join us as we look at the whole world of barbering and go beyond the barber's chair. We all know we need to have certain state minimum insurance on our cars for us to be able to drive them on the road. I spoke with Elna Park with Goosehead Insurance, and she broke down state minimum insurance so well, probably the best explanation of it I've ever heard. And I was really surprised at just how little we're actually protected with those policies. If I understand it correctly, if we hit somebody with our car and all we have is state minimum, then we're coming out of it with our own money. We're paying for it out of our own pocket. Let's get right to the interview. We'll get right down to a breakdown.
So when we get into auto insurance, there are three parts. There are multiple parts, but three major parts I think every barber should know. The first is going to be liability. And anytime you hear the word liability, think legal. Someone or somebody is suing you. Okay. And the second is comprehensive coverage. And that is going to be where the situation comes into play, right? Your theft, your vandalism. And then the third part is going to be collision. So with liability, that is the only thing that is required by the state, right? The state requires you to have liability insurance to cover the other vehicle in case you get into an accident and you were at fault. That is not what happened here with Martin. So hopefully he also had the optional coverage, right? The optional coverage, which is comprehensive coverage. And that is, again, theft, vandalism, weather. So that is hail, wind, if a tree falls on your car, that kind of a thing, glass, and then collision coverage. Those usually go hand in hand. And collision is anytime you hit something. So like in the earlier scenario, if you get into a car accident with someone else and you're at fault, or a single car accident, you back into a wall, or the roads are slippery and you turn into a median, that kind of a thing. Now, there are three numbers. Like if you were to take out your insurance card right now, you would see three little numbers. And if you had state minimum, it would say 25, 50, 25. And those numbers count for, the first two numbers are for the liability insurance, right? The state of Georgia requires you have $25,000 of liability per person. So the other vehicle per person, up to $50,000 per vehicle. All the people in the vehicle up to $50,000 worth of coverage. And then $25,000 in property damage. Okay. So that is for the car, anything inside the car, that kind of a thing.
Can I kind of repeat that back to you, see if I got that right?
Yeah, sure.
So the state minimum for liability,
Mm-hmm.
this is just liability insurance, 25, 50, 50. If I'm getting this wrong, let me know, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So 25 is for, you've hit somebody else, and it's $25,000 for
bodily injury.
Thank you.
They get hurt. Yeah, bodily injury. They get hurt. They need to go to the hospital, or basically they have a claim against you, right? In terms of
that's it.
That is it. And it does not go very far. So it's 25 per person up to 50,000 per accident. So that's 25,000 and two people. If you have a family of four in there, then yeah, that has to be spread even thinner.
Oh my gosh. So like a family of four, you're taking that $50,000, you're splitting it between four people?
Correct.
Wow.
And the cap per person is 25,000.
Yeah. Jeez. Okay.
Right. So, but that's liability, right?
Yeah.
So that's if they get hurt and they go to the hospital, and the average ICU bills or emergency bills are tens of thousands of dollars. So anything above that 25,000 or 50,000, it's on you, the individual. So
So if I've just got state coverage and I hit someone's car, let's just, so I hit that car, there's two people, they're injured. They go to the hospital, they get $25,000, $50,000. Well, this will be more than that. But as far as their bills go, I mean, their bills are over $50,000. Whatever the insurance doesn't pay, I'm paying.
Absolutely. So let's say
Okay.
the driver has $35,000 worth of injuries, hospital bills, right?
Hmm.
And the passenger has another $35,000 worth of hospital bills.
Uh-huh.
So in the first driver, regardless of the 50,000, you're having to pay 15,000 for the first person because the
Uh-huh.
cutoff was 25.
Okay, gotcha.
So anything above that, you have to pay 15,000. Now for the second individual, the 35, right?
Hmm.
They've already paid, 25. They will pay 25 up to the second person as well. But then
Hmm.
anything above that, because you've already hit that 50 max, is on you. So in total, not the insurance company would pay 50,000, but you'd be liable for $30,000 worth of bodily injury damage
Hmm.
payable either to the other party's insurance company or to the other party.
So they're gonna pay that. I mean, they're gonna write that check for that, but the rest is gonna be on you, and you're gonna be liable.
Correct.
Oh my gosh.
Right. Which
So
is why
yeah.
liability coverage. So you have to think about what your assets are, right? That's how I instruct my clients to think about it. So, how much is your home, right? How much is your car? If your home's $150,000, your car is $50,000. That means you have $200,000 worth of assets, just home and auto.
Hmm.
And on top of that, you have to think about any retirement funds or any savings and future earnings, right? In case they could decide to garnish your wages.
Oh my
So you
God.
have to think about all of those assets, and that is what your liability coverage, that's what the number should be.
And they'd come after all that stuff too.
Absolutely.
All right, so let me take it back to Martin's car.
Yeah, sorry. So
His car
Martin's
got no,
car.
no, 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 no.
Uh-huh.
That is That's probably the best breakdown I ever heard of state liability insurance ever. I've never heard that like
Right.
that. So
And so that's just liability. The state also requires you have 25,000 in property damage, right? So
okay,
you mentioned that Lexus.
uh-huh.
$25,000 will not cover a Lexus, right? It will not cover a Lexus. I want to say now the statistics state that, your average four-door sedan coming off the line is going to cost you $35,000. So let's say, knock on wood, God forbid, but let's say someone drives their brand new four-door sedan off the lot and you happen to T-bone them and you total that. That means without no ifs, ands, and buts, you owe 15 or $10,000 to replace that car because state minimum only has a 25.
Wow.
Now that is bad enough. Here in Atlanta, and I'm going to say most cities, pileups are an issue on the highway. I live in Midtown. I can look outside my window for 15 minutes and not see a car under $50,000.
Hmm.
Right? We love our cars here in Atlanta and in Georgia. Let's say you're on the highway and you get into a multi-car accident, right? You sneeze, you change the radio, you wipe your glasses, someone texts you and you get distracted, bam, multi-car accident. Or you hit the guy in front of you and that causes him to hit the person in front of him. 3 or 4 cars, and you have a Mercedes, you have a BMW, and you have a Land Rover, right?
Hmm.
That $25,000 in property damage is not going to cover those 3 vehicles, right?
Oh
So
my.
basically, what happens is the insurance companies will split up what they can, and then the rest is on you. You're liable for that Land
Wow.
Rover. You're liable for that BMW.
Oh my gosh, you're buying someone
Mhm.
else's cars.
Correct.
Oh
Correct.
my gosh. And so
Or the replacement parts, and sometimes those are more expensive
right. So
than the cars themselves. Yeah.
now what's the third number in the state?
So that was the third number. So the
That was
first
okay.
number was liability per person. The
Okay.
second number is liability per incident, right? So
Okay.
everyone in the other car. And then the third number is property damage.
Got it.
So
Okay.
if you get into an accident, you are at fault. How much property coverage do you have for the other vehicles? Or, like I said, if you were to drive into a median, right, and that's state property, and the state were to sue you, or you accidentally drive into a storefront, right? And then you damage the storefront and your car insurance has to pay that out. That also comes out of the property coverage. And again, 25,000 isn't going to get you too far to repair those things.
Why would anybody just get state minimum?
Because they only look at the premium at the end of the day. But here at Goosehead, so my agency, we don't, we won't even write state minimum. Because not only do we think that's a disservice to our clients, it's a huge liability for us, right? We do not think in any situation is that going to be enough coverage for you.
Yeah.
So we actually start at 50,000, 100,000, 50,000.
Wow.
Yeah, and you can go up to $500,000.
And so if I were to take that example, take it back to Martin's situation, and he just has state minimum, he's out of luck. He's got nothing.
Right. So if he only has state minimum, he doesn't have any comprehensive coverage and he doesn't have any collision coverage, he is out, unfortunately, that's $6,000.
Oh my God.
Right.
So there it is. That is the best breakdown I've ever heard of the state minimum auto insurance and just how little it actually protects us. I want to thank Elena Park with Goosehead Insurance for her time and also for breaking this thing down for us. If you have any other questions for Elena or need any clarifications or need to get in touch with her, her information, her contact, and everything is in the description. In the meanwhile, if you like what you heard, tell some other people about it, subscribe, and I'll see you next time as we go beyond the barber's chair. That's it for today's episode of Beyond the Barber's Chair. I put links for my guests and for anything we discussed in the description. I hope you got something great and that it helps you as a barber and in life. If you like the podcast, I hope that you will tell a friend about it and subscribe so that you don't miss any upcoming shows. I'll see you next time as we go beyond the barber's chair.